All right, let's get started. Hi. Okay, good. All right, thank you guys for joining. All right, so it is the last day of the 5-day challenge, and I had somebody call me yesterday. Isn't that pretty cool? And they have they want to sell their storage facility. It's actually really only about 45 minutes to an hour from me, so it's not too bad. But I have somebody that is in the area that is desperately looking for storage facilities and wants a storage facility. So guess what? I'm going to try to put it under contract and I'm going to wholesale it to this person. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how that works. Okay, wholesaling storage facilities. So then everybody can kind of have an idea of how you can actually wholesale storage facilities. I mean, if this person doesn't want to buy it, I'll just buy it. It's, for me, it's not that big of a deal, but I know this person is in this area. And I talk to this other storage facility owner quite often, and they already have 3 facilities and they're looking for more. And so I just give it to him. Just a nice person. So let me see, hang on, because we're about to buy 3 storage facilities. So I told my husband, like, we got another call, and he's like, we are not buying another one. And I was like, come on, please. And he's like, no, wholesale it. And it happens to be right in the area where this other person has their facility. So we're gonna just wholesale it. But anyways, yeah. So let me see. I'm going to put this up so we can run the numbers on it, and I'll give you guys the stats, right? And then we'll go into wholesaling storage facilities as well too, and like what the process looks like for that. Let's see. So now make this one a co-host. Yes. And then now once I do that, then I can share. Okay, so let's first get into what is wholesaling. And actually, real fast before I get out of here, out of the Facebook Live or whatever. So what do you guys? Does anybody ever wholesale before? I'd like to know. Does anybody know what wholesaling is? And if you don't, just put like no idea what it is, or yes, I've wholesaled, or yes, I understand the concept, but I've never wholesaled, right? So kind of where are you at in the wholesaling world? So I have an idea from everybody. And Hugh says that he would buy the storage facility as well too. We actually have a storage facility. I actually have another storage facility. Where are you located, Hugh? I know you're in Atlanta. So tell me, like, because I have another storage facility for sale in the Macon area. I don't know if you're interested. But we're like, and I guess I could draw this. Let me just do this. I'll share this. Okay, yeah. See, now you can see my drawing. And let's see, test. Okay, good. So everybody should be able to see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, Hugh says he's wholesaled in the past. Masha has wholesaled. Jean understands. Good, good, good. So everybody kind of not familiar with how it works. So Kelly just has no idea. Cool. Okay. Okay, good. So Masha's done some wholesaling. Jean understands it. Okay, cool. Good, good, good. Okay. So now everybody can see my screen. It should say test on it. And so essentially the way that Atlanta works, okay, and I know everybody's from kind of an area, so this is Atlanta, right in the middle, okay? And then we have like this perimeter, it's called the perimeter, and then we have like all these suburbs of Atlanta, okay? And then I'm like way up here. That's basically where I live, okay? And actually all of my storage facilities are either way up in this area, up here, or way down south, like way south of Atlanta, okay? So I have nothing, remember, I have nothing in this perimeter because it's too expensive. And honestly, I mean, I don't want to buy a business and I don't want to spend, and the thing is, I was listening to a webinar, I can't remember what it was, but anyways, what they were saying was, there was somebody that went out and, for cap rates, like usually inside the city here, you're going to get like a 5 to 7% cap rate. Okay. And the reason why is because investors look at these properties as like, I guess, lower risk, right? More expensive, but lower risk, right? Whereas up here, where I'm telling you, where I'm looking in these areas where the arrows are, you're going to get like 10 to, let's say, 18% cap rate, let's just say, okay? And, you know, so for me personally, I spend, let's say, you know, $300,000 to $500,000 on average. Let's say it's on average is 300 to 500,000 on a storage facility. Up here, where the same exact kind of storage facility, right, would be like, you know, millions of dollars down here. I mean, really, really millions of dollars. Like, let's just say at least, you know, 2 million plus in this area. Okay, so I guess if you're in the city, right, and you're making a 5 to 7 cap rate, and let's say you're 80, 90, 100% full, they're saying, like, most like analyzers or financial people are saying it's less of a risk. But for me personally, if I'm going to spend, and this is exactly what my lenders, I talk to my lenders about this all the time too, and they're like, why spend, you know, $2 million on a facility and take out a $2 million loan and have that monthly payment every single month, like on your shoulders, like, you know, crap, I've got to come up with, you know, thousands of dollars every single month. And then in the end, like I saw an example. Let's just say you find a storage facility for, let's say $2 million in this area, and they have bagged, you know, maybe they're like, you know, 70% full, and you know, and so there's some opportunity to raise some rents. There's no opportunity to value add. There's no opportunity to like add extra storage or anything like this, because, you know, it's just in the city, there's not a lot of space, right? So, you know, so let's just say that it's 70% full and their rates, or 75% full or whatever, and their rates are like, you know, maybe 10 or 20% lower than everybody else, right? So you have that opportunity to value add that 10 to 20% up higher and get it more full, right? So there is some value add in that respect, right? But that value add is really only going to come out to, if you calculate the numbers, a couple of $100,000 more, let's just say, all right? I mean, and so I guess, you know, if somebody has $2 million to spend, and let's say they raise the rates and they make, you know, they make it 20% higher, and they increase the value of the property to, let's say, like 2.4 or $2.5 million, okay, you know. So essentially they're taking $2 million and adding, you know, and adding a value of a couple $100,000 to the property. And that's actually really a high number, honestly, okay? Because most of the time you're going to be raising the rents, you know, not even that much. You're not going to make that much more over the course of the next couple of years, right? But honestly, you can do this. You can make the same amount of money. You can increase the value of your property by a couple $100,000 as well out in the boonies, like what I do, right? Because, like, for instance, I'm buying like 3 storage facilities right now that are going to be worth like I'm buying them for $550,000, and the owners do not understand how much their properties are worth. All right, he does not know how to calculate cap rate. He doesn't know what they are. So I'm actually getting these properties at a bargain, and essentially he's making $90,000 a year right now, and he's the cheapest person in town by, like, you know, increasing like all rents half. Now, of course, we're not going to go in and like double the rents of everybody right on top, but we are going to slowly, incrementally increase those rates over the course of a year, or maybe, you know, whatever it's going to be, however long it takes, 18 months. And so, you know, over the course of the next couple of years, his properties are going to be worth a couple $100,000 more, right? And so, you know, it's like, why spend $2 million to make $300,000 when you could just spend, like, you know, $500,000 to make $300,000? That is in my head, that's my concept. That's what I'm thinking personally, okay? So if anybody has any rebuttals or anything to discuss about that, please put it into the comments, because um, I really kind of try to, understand the concept of buying a 5 to 7 cap and even an 8 cap. But I just quite don't understand why anybody want to do that. But I guess the big players, the people that actually have money, they just have that money to spend. So they're, so for them, like if they have $2 million and make a couple $100,000, they're happy. So that's kind of my thought process. All right. So if anybody has anything to say about that, please put it into the chat so that we can discuss it, because I'm just, that's what I think, right? So because I said I bought a property for 150 grand, and after it's 100% full or 90% full, it's going to be worth like $350,000, and it's like, so why would I go spend $2 million on a property to make $300,000 when I could just spend like $150,000? So now maybe monthly expenses, you might make a little bit more, but essentially what happens with those monthly expenses is that now you have a $2 million property and you have this huge big business, and you have to be like on top of making sure that you make that mortgage every single month. Like for me, my mortgage is a couple $1,000s, whereas their mortgage on a $2 million property is probably a lot of money. I mean, it's probably going to be at least $8 grand or something like that, so it's like you have that stress of like trying to come up with that money. But when you're a bigger player, it's not that big of a deal. But like, I know people personally, like I know like people like me, right, that go out and buy storage facilities for $3, $4, $5 million. And I had a storage facility owner call me, and he said that he bought a storage facility in Orlando that was like $3 million, and then he bought another storage facility in Texas, in Austin, for $4 million, and he's struggling. Okay. So, and he's calling me, and I'm like, he's like, I know you teach stuff and everything. So I'm sitting here trying to brainstorm with him on things that he could do marketing wise. And honestly, it's just, I wouldn't want that stress personally. So that's why I stick to the little ones. It's just my personal opinion. What does everybody think about that? That would be good. Do you think it's harder to get tenants with COVID? Okay. So personally, this is exactly what it's going to fall back to, right? Is if you know how to market, remember, it's the find, fund, run, right? Find, fund, run. So you've got to learn how to find these properties and do deal analysis. You've got to learn how to fund them and find the money for them. And then you've got to know how to run them so you make a profit on them. And this run part is the hardest part. And I'm telling you, for instance, like, the person that just called me up today, and I just talked to her, she's basically saying they're struggling right now because everybody is moving out during COVID, right? And we are the complete opposite, because this person is not doing any marketing at all. They never had to. Like in the upturn, in the upturns, they never had to do any marketing because people, in the upturn, it's so much easier than in the downturn, right? Now in the downturn, you've got to plan to do marketing, right? And people are moving out or whatever, and she's just like, didn't mean to think out of, like, she gave me the numbers. She says they've always been 100% full up until the last 3 months, and then all of a sudden there was like 10 or 15 people that moved out. And so for her, that's like a big deal, I guess, so she's like, they're really struggling, and she said they've never had to do any marketing at all. And like I said, in the upturn, you don't have to do marketing, but in the downturn, you really truly have to understand how to run your business and still make a profit, right? And this is something that me and my husband discuss all the time. And actually on Sunday in our boot camp, in our 2-day boot camp, this is exactly what we're teaching our students, is how we manage our storage facilities so that you can make a profit. And most storage facility owners can't do this, right? They just can't do it. So yeah, like I said, with the COVID and with everything that's going on, if you do not truly know how to run your businesses, then you're not going to do well, right? But if you know how to market and you know how to run your business to make a profit, then you'll be fine. You're gonna be fine. Because I talk to a lot of storage facility owners, and most of them, you know, the ones that I talk to are very active and they're out there and they're, you know, they're doing a lot. So they're, you know, they're doing fine. But then when you get the people that are calling you, or you get people that you talk to, buy to from, you know, everybody that you're sending out letters to or whatever you're doing, then those are the ones that are really struggling. Okay. So yeah, so let's just go, let me see if I can figure this out. Oh yeah, I knew right here. Okay, so like this is the one that just called me up today, and they have 108 spaces. They have 108 units, and they have 80 parking spaces. Okay, and the units are, let's say on average, let's see, there's a 65, 75, and a 115. So let's say they're on average $85 a month. Give it an average for now, right? And then this is not how you really would. If you're going to buy this thing, you really need to truly understand commercial deal analysis, right? I'm not going to get into that because that's like days of training, right? This is exactly what I teach my students in their mastermind, is how to do real, true commercial deal analysis. And I was in a meeting right before this with my my spreadsheet guy creates the spreadsheets for us that I give to our students. But you have to truly understand cash on cash return, yield, IRR, ROI, you know, cap rate, DSCR, DCSR, and things like this. Okay, so I'm giving you just an overview of kind of what you can look at. Okay, now let's see. 80 parking spaces is let's see, on average, she says they're on average about, let's say $50. Okay, so calculate that up. What's 85 times 100 and let's calculate it. Let me get my calculator. 85 times 108 is $9,180. And then we have 50 times 80, 4,000. So let's say she's making on average 13K a month. Okay, times 12 is 156,000. Let's just say on average, okay, 156,000 a year. Okay, now this is not gross. I mean, this is not net income. This is gross income, right? But what we can do is just go to our handy dandy calculator and let's do, okay, so the gross income is 156,000. And the operating expenses are always 30% of that. So let's say 50,000 a year. Okay, so operating expenses are, okay. And let's see, we got to do 750,000 is probably going to be too much. It's probably going to be around $1 million. I'm guessing is what she wants. $1 million is $1 million for this property is 9.3% cap rate. Okay. And you want to be double-digit cap rate, so it's going to be it could be a little bit less, but I'm guessing she's going to want around $1 million for that property. Okay, so that's basically like the easy way to do the deal analysis, right? And then I'm going to wholesale it off to somebody else. You know, so I'm going to wholesale it to somebody that has large facilities already in that area, and I've already talked to that person, and they're very interested in buying that property. So we'll see how much I can wholesale it for. I'm not sure. So let's talk about wholesaling. All right, let's talk about wholesaling. Let's see. How do you wholesale? So now that you know that you can wholesale, how do you wholesale? I have no idea. Exit full screen. And then what do I do? Make me the host, I guess. Oh wait, you know what I'm gonna do now is I have no idea. Stop video. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Now, wait, hang on. Screen share. Hang on. Oops. Yeah, this is it. Okay. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen, how to wholesale storage facilities, okay? Let's get some questions answered. Masha answers, I heard that expenses are high compared to income for small storage, where expenses are lower compared to income for large storage. Well, I mean, yeah, because you're gonna, we actually, the difference in the higher, the difference in the storage facilities, larger and the smaller, is that you don't have as much income, but you do have almost the same amount of expenses, except for your operating expenses, like, I mean, so you're like hiring help, right? And of course, the more money that you spend, the more money that you make, right? So, but you do have to calculate, like if you're going to buy a facility that has like 200, or more units, then you're going to need somebody to help manage that, right? I mean, even the one that called me yesterday, he had 131 units and he had a property management company managing that facility for him, and it costs like 10% of whatever he made, and essentially is how much it costs. So the question is, it's really just kind of like give or take. Which one do you want? There's no right or wrong way. But the bigger the facility, then the more help you're going to need, right? You're going to need somebody to answer the phones, right? You're going to have somebody managing all your auction processes, your overlock fees, I mean, your overlocks and cleaning up the trash, and so you need somebody to do that for the bigger facilities. Whereas the smaller ones, you could self-manage it yourself, unless you don't want to answer the phones, because everybody kind of calls all the time. Or once you start getting bigger, like I say, we have an office manager for 450 doors that works 25 hours a week. So that person really kind of manages everything for us. And then we have like one person once a week that goes around and just cleans up the trash and does overlock and stuff. So it's really like, yeah, it's really like, how do you want to set your business up, right? How do you want to set your business up? And of course, the more money that you spend on your facility, the more, you always, no matter what, you calculate 35%, 30 to 35% for your expenses. But the bigger facilities, I'm telling you, every single one of the bigger facilities that I've ever talked to, especially like the one that we did yesterday for the 131 units, he had $72,000 in expenses a year, and he was only making $120,000 a year. And that's including his mortgage, right? So his mortgage was $50,000 a year, right? But, so that's like that's like half of that's more than half for his expenses. More than half, right? Now, when you're counting, when you're figuring out your net income, right, or your net, your expenses and your cap rate, you don't calculate in your mortgage into your cap rate. I totally get that, right? But essentially, when you're looking at the bigger picture, more than half of what he makes is going to expenses. For us, we're around 30% for ours. I mean, for the smaller facilities, because essentially we have one person that we pay, like $600, not even like $500 a week or whatever it is, to manage everything for us, and we're netting, $20,000 to $25,000 a month, right? We're bringing in $20,000 to $25,000 a month. Okay, so, anyways. Okay, so I don't know if that makes sense, but let me know. Just ask any questions. For example, hiring a manager will cost you the same for small or large, but you make more money with larger. No, well, no, because a small one, you don't need somebody to be working all the time. Like I said, we have 450 doors, and our office manager works 25 hours a week. All right, so 25 hours a week for 450 doors. right? So and now if you go out and buy a facility, and that's another thing, like if you go and buy a facility for 200 with 200 doors, I mean, like I said, this one for 131 doors, he wanted $800,000. Just think about how much it's going to cost if it's 200 doors, right? Unless you buy it, like if unless you find a really mismanaged property, but even if it's 200 doors, it's still going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase it. So you just have to essentially what you have to do is you have to run the numbers. You really have to run the numbers, all right? And I try to stick to outside of large major areas. I try to stick to like a 10 cap, 9 to 12 cap rate, all right? And people want like a 10, like people want like double-digit cap rate. They just do, Now and now even the more mismanaged they are, the higher the cap rate is. Okay, so like as I said, so all the ones I'm buying are like super high 15% cap rates because they're like literally run down to the ground kind of things, right? And so people say, oh, well, that's riskier. Well, guess what? It's riskier, but at the same time, like we're making thousands of dollars a month netting, and we're increasing that value by hundreds of thousands of dollars as well too. Okay, so it's really kind of what your personality is like. In my mastermind, essentially, we have like people that just want to buy cash flowing businesses. Like I have a student right now, he's putting an offer in for a facility that's 100% full and it's just running great, right? And that's what he wants. He wants to just buy it. Now there's some land there, so he can add another storage facility right on there. And so they're valuing it as is, but he's going to be able to add another facility on there. So it's increase that value add. And then we have like students that are like, no, I only want crappy like facilities. And I just talked to a student just right before the class, and she's going to buy a crappy storage facility that's just run to the ground. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like whatever your cup of tea is. I talked to another guy yesterday, and he's in the process. I don't know if he's on here. I talked to him yesterday. He's in the process of building a storage facility. And he has the land procured. He's already getting a rezone. He's done the feasibility study. He's like literally about to start building, and he should be done, by fall with building everything if everything goes great the way it's supposed to. And so it's like you just kind of figure out what you want to do. It's really your own personality. That's the good thing about storage industries. You can kind of do whatever you want inside of it, as long as you have the money. Right, and then you know how to run your numbers, right? So now after this challenge, you've got to understand commercial deal analysis. That's the one thing you've got to understand. And then you've got to truly understand how to run your facilities so that you manage them so they are passive income, right? And they don't like you can be like us and like traveling around for months on end and still have your storage facilities. I mean, my husband like hasn't done anything with the storage facilities, and he just checks in with his, his people, his his team, and then that's it. And that's really, really where you want to be, honestly. My personal opinion, that's where you want to be, as passive as you can possibly be. Let's see, Masha. Oh yes, but someone needs to clean up and answer the phone calls anyways. Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, and Hugh says, yeah, exactly. And then I'm totally like the kiosk thing. The kiosking is not good, honestly. First of all, it costs like 20 grand just to put that there. All right. And second of all, what if they don't pay? You still have to call them and try to get them in, because on the first of every month, all of our rent is due. But guess what? Most of the people, they just like, a lot of people go through. But I'm telling you, there's like 30 or 40%. Like you still have to call them and remind them, and because that's just how it is. Honestly, you got to be on top of it. So you're still gonna have to do all the work, right? And that kiosk, it costs like 20 grand to put that thing in. I'm telling you, everybody that has a kiosk, they all say that it's just not worth it. Why would you need a kiosk when you can just do everything online? I don't understand. Why would you need a kiosk? Anyways, okay. And just like Masha says, you still need somebody to go there, overlock the place, clean up the trash, answer the phone calls. Okay. 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 All right. So now let's talk about what's going on in the storage industry. and how to wholesale storage facilities. Let's get into wholesaling real fast. And we're going to talk about all the challenges we've been doing, how to find motivated sellers, we did, how to close the deal, how to make offers, we talked about, and how to find buyers. Okay, let's go into wholesaling. I love wholesaling. All right, wholesaling, I call it the gateway drug. I tell all my students this. If you learn how to wholesale, you can wholesale any property, not even just storage facilities, but any property. Okay, so learn how to wholesale. My personal list, if you want to invest, learn how to wholesale. So what happens is when you start looking for storage facilities and you come across one that you don't want, guess what? You can just wholesale it. All right. You know, and that's what I do. Like every once in a while I'll come across one where I'll be like, I just am not, you know, it's just not something that I want to buy. It's too small, right? Or something, you know, something like this. Okay. So how do you wholesale? All right. How do you wholesale? That's the question. All right. It's a very simple process, although a lot of people kind of have a hard time understanding it. But what you do, wholesaling is basically where you're the middle person between the seller and the buyer, right? You don't have to have a realtor's license to buy and sell property, right? Now check your state. Some states, I think, like, I don't know if it's Illinois or Indiana or one of those, they don't even allow wholesaling. So please check your state just to make sure you do wholesale. You know, and then find out if it's okay for you to just double close. Can you buy the property and then in a certain time later sell the property? Because I mean, in Georgia too as well, like they're talking about like revamping the rules so that you can't wholesale, right? And so what everybody's going to do is just double close. Right, that means that you buy the property and then you close on, so you buy and close on the property and then you sell the property, right? And so in the state of Georgia, you can just do that simultaneously. You can buy and close at the same time, all right? And you can buy, close, and then you can just resell it to the buyer on this end, okay? But essentially, you're right in the middle. So you go out and you find a property. And you find a property that you want, any property, and you can wholesale any property. Once you understand this concept, not just storage facilities, you know, but you can, I've wholesaled commercial property, storage facility, houses, turnkey rentals with tenants in it. I've done it all, right? So yeah, I wholesale land. I mean, anything, you can wholesale anything, right? So you want to go out, you're going to do your marketing to find your storage facilities, right? And you're going to go out and let's just say that you find a property that you do not want to buy. Let's just say it's too expensive or it's not, you know, or it's like too small and it's just not or maybe it's too far or whatever you want, whatever the reason is. You're just like, I don't want this property, right? And so what you do is you still put it under contract. You get it under contract. You analyze the deal, you put an offer in and you get it under contract. And then you are going to resell it to somebody that wants to buy that facility. Okay, you want to resell it to somebody that wants to buy that facility. And so let's just say, for instance, the one that I just talked to today, all right, it's, you know, it's worth $1 million. Okay, it's worth around $1 million. Let's say I put it under contract for $900,000. All right, or let's say $950,000, whatever the amount of money is, right? And so I say, look, I'll buy it right now. I mean, you know, either I'll buy it or I'll find somebody else to buy it for you, and we'll close within the next 30 to 60 days if you can put it, if I can put it under contract for $950,000. And then they say, okay, let's just do it. All right. So then I'll go out and try to find a buyer to buy this for $1 million or $1.1 million or whatever my number is. I have a student that literally put a facility under contract for $900,000 and then he sold it for $1.1 million. So he made $200,000 by just wholesaling that contract. Okay. I have a student that just did one and made $100,000 on it. Now, a lot of them, like the bigger ones, you can make more money on. But if you're gonna do like a $200,000, you know, facility, you can't wholesale it for $300,000, except for. Not true, actually. No, I didn't have a student. He put one facility under contract for like 150, and he wholesaled it for like $250,000. So that's not true. So you can make good money on it if you get it at the right price, right? If you get it at the right price. So yeah, so so with wholesaling, what you want to do is you want to go out and find the property and put it under contract. And if you do not want this property, then you're going to go out and find the buyer, and you're going to get the middle cut, whatever it is, 20,000. Usually with commercial properties, you're making at least 20 grand, but 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, you know, up to 100 grand or a couple $100,000. Okay. And you just get that middle cut. All right. And you're going to double close. You're going to double close because you do not want the buyer, I mean the seller on this side to know how much you're making, and you do not want the buyer on this side to know how much you're making. So you will have to pay to double close. Okay, so you will have to come out of pocket yourself a couple $1,000s to close on this side and a couple $1,000s to close on this side. So make sure you calculate when you're running your numbers. It's going to cost you like, you know, $3 grand or whatever it costs. And you can find out how much it costs in your area, but a couple $1,000s on each side to close. And commercial, when you close a commercial property, it does cost more money than a residential property, right? So residential, you can close for $1,000 or $1,500, double the price, all right? Double the price. So find out exactly how much. So, you know, you don't try to wholesale it for 20 grand and then you have to come out of pocket 6 grand or something like this, you know? So try to figure that out. But yeah, so that's basically what wholesaling is. You're the middle person between the property over here and the seller over here and the buyer over here, right? And you want to make sure that you use a contract that says and or assigns, right? And or assigns is the key word, and or assigns. So that means it's an assignable contract. You can assign this, you can either buy it yourself or you can assign this contract to somebody else, right? Something like that. And so my contract that I give my students is an assignable contract. All right. You just want to make sure that your contract is assignable. Now, so that's it. So find a property, talk to the seller, negotiate, do deal analysis, put it under contract, and then make sure it's an assignable contract, and then go out and find the buyer. And you got to go out, you got to build your buyers list up. A lot of people wholesale storage facilities. A lot of people wholesale storage facilities. So you can even find other people that wholesale storage facilities, and you can just partner with them if you want to do that, right? And then you close the deal and you make some money on it. Easy peasy, right? Okay, what do you say when you call a storage facility? I want to buy your storage? Yeah, that's what I say. How do you start the conversation? How do you make them interested? No, I just call them up and say, look, I'm looking to buy some more storage facilities. Are you interested in selling? Right? That's what I say. Wholesaling, you leave something on the table for the next buyer. So numbers have to work for both situations. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. So you want to make sure that when you're doing your commercial deal analysis that they're making some money and they're making some money and you're making some money, right? It's a win-win situation is what it is. It's a win-win situation for all parties involved. Exactly. Okay. So let's go a little bit further into wholesaling, all right? Wholesaling a storage facility we talked about. So you're going to pick your market, right? We already know this. We've been over this several times this week, how to pick your market, how to look for storage facilities, right? What kind of marketing you should be doing, how you drive for storage. When you make sure when you go on your drive for storage, you tag me and put hashtag drive for storage so I can see that you're driving for storage. I would love to know if anybody's out there actually driving for storage facilities. All right. And so then you run your commercial deal analysis, right? And you sell the sucker, right? You sell it. Makes it seem like it's so easy, right? Easy, but it's not really that easy, honestly, right? It's not. It's just a lot of moving parts, you know, just so that you know. Once you get really good at it, it gets easier and easier, right? But just so you know, your first couple of deals are going to be really hard. I mean, it's very stressful because you just don't know what's going on. So just kind of hang in there, right? All right, so everybody knows you got to pick your market. You got to go out and drive for your storage facilities. Go onto Google Map, look for motivated sellers, and try to find some storage facilities you can put under contract. Right? When you talk, then after that, you're going to get into the marketing. You know the marketing. Let's get into the acquisitions. Right? Now you've got to look at the competition. You've got to figure out what your cap rate is and run your commercial bill analysis. You've got to get your contract ready, right? And then you've got to, from the sellers, you've got to ask them for all of the documents that they can give you, as many documents as possible, right? So you want to get things like plat and survey, and like, you know, you want to know the boundaries. You want to know, like, you want to get if they have P&L or balance sheet, rent roll, all the numbers, so that you can have and compile everything, so you can take a look and you can analyze that deal. You want to look at all the competition out there, right? You want to know what is the competition charging, all right, and look at that. That's why, and that's the only way that you're going to know how much your deal is worth versus how much it could be worth, right? So, I mean, are they like right on target with their prices? So, for instance, on the one that I got here, she does, she has 10 by 10s. She charges $65, 10 by 15, $75, and 10 by 25s, $115. So that's about right. All right. So my philosophy would be like, why are you charging $65 for a 10 by 10 and only $115 for a 10 by 25? I mean, I would rather pay $115 for a 10 by 15 than a 60, and then 65 for a 10 by 10, because you get a better price at that deal, right? So our philosophy is like, just double it. If you have a facility, if you have a unit that's bigger than, you know, double, we just double. So we actually charge the same about for square footage for all of our units. We charge the same price. Right? So there's no discounted, oh, buy a bigger one, because then what happens is everybody buys a bigger one, and then the people that actually need a bigger one, they don't have one to buy, right? You know what I'm saying? So we kind of just do like the same price all around. Like we say, okay, it's for the local area. Right? We say, okay, this area calls for this much per square foot. We say this is going to be just per square foot for this facility. That's how much it is, and that's kind of how we run our facilities. And your documents, you just want to make sure that you focus on trying to get as many documents as you want, and some will have some and some will not. All right, and you got to make offers. All right. The only way you're ever going to get any deals is if you just make an offer, right? They could say no, they could say yes. But just so you know, like, it's just, you can't, so I tell my students is like, you're never going to get any deal if you don't make an offer, right? On my beginner mastermind, for my real estate investing and for the storage investing, it's like, the rule is making offers every single week. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to get a deal, because essentially it's just a numbers game. It really is. It's just a numbers game. All right. Has anybody ever made an offer on a storage facility before? I don't know, because yeah. So like, because I think Garrett said yesterday he'd had 6 facilities in the area and he's doing market research, and it's just like, just make an offer. Why not? Just see what they say. At least it starts the conversation up, right? And then liquidations. Finally, you want to sell it, right? So in your wholesaling world, right, you're gonna have to set your office up. Out of my 6-step system and my 6 departments, right? You're gonna have to set your office up, get your marketing set up, learn how to acquire your properties, and then you're gonna have to liquidate it. That's the 4 steps in your how to wholesale storage facility process. Okay, so liquidating is where we're at now. You want to sell those suckers, right? So you need to build a buyer's list. You have to go out and find other storage facility owners that would like to buy, or somebody that would like to buy a storage facility. So how can you do that? If you have any suggestions, put it into the comment, right? That's the question, right? So what ways can you come up with to find buyers that want to buy storage facilities? Okay, and you want to find cash buyers. Cash is king right now, right? All right. The more, the more money that you have, the more down payment that you have, the more likely you are to get a loan, right? So, you need to find cash buyers, and you need to always marketing for buyers, especially if you're going to wholesale deals. You always need, and this is one thing that I've noticed, you know, people don't do, is like they get out there, they find a deal, they get it under contract, and then they can't find a buyer for it. And the reason why they can't find a buyer is because they're not looking for buyers. Like, you have to be simultaneously looking for buyers while you're out there looking for properties as well, if you want to be wholesaling. Partner, you can partner with people that, you know, like other wholesalers that are, you know, there are wholesalers out there that have been wholesaling in the storage investing world for years and years. So find those people and partner with them, right? If you know other storage facility owners, I mean, storage facility investors, ask them and talk to them. Do you know anybody that's interested in buying blah blah in this area or something like that? You know, so it is, you know, the storage investing world is such a small area that you could definitely you know, find people that you can talk to. Okay, and then you have to be able to close the deal, even if you find a buyer and you get a buyer to put an offer in. That doesn't mean anything, because I'm going to tell you to close a real estate transaction, because anybody closed any real estate transactions before, right? You know, if you've closed a real estate transactions, that those couple of weeks or those couple of months, it's always like right in the 11th hour that like everything goes wrong, right? So you just you don't want to count your ducks before they hatch, right? You want to make sure that you get to the closing line. And so everything that needs to get done, you need to be on top of it, because I'm telling you that everything happens in the 11th hour. For some reason, I do not know why real estate works this way. Everything happens in the 11th hour. Has anybody ever experienced this before? I have closed a gazillion transactions, and I'm telling you, there's not one transaction that has been smooth ever. You know, like we closed on our storage facility in January, and everything was great. I mean, you know, the guy was like, "Take this sucker," you know, we don't want it anymore. We're like, "Yeah," like and then we had to close with his attorney, and then his attorney did not understand land trusts at all, right? Because we closed everything in a land trust, and he did not understand land trusts at all, and it was just a fiasco to close with the attorney. I should have just been like, let's use our attorney, but he wanted to use his, you know, in order to close. I was like, well, crap, I guess we have to use his. So, so you just never know what's going to come up, right? So you have to be on top of it with the closings, okay? And let's see what else. Masha says, how to find partners. What is your advice? I mean, you just got to start asking around. Anybody want to partner? Are you talking about partnering to do like to buy a storage facility, or partnering to do like a wholesale transaction? Which kind of partners are you looking for? If you want to partner for to buy, then you need to be putting it out there, you know, in all, you know, maybe in the storage groups, wherever you go, letting everybody know I'm looking to partner on a facility. And this is something like in my mastermind, every single time that we meet, every other Tuesday, I always bring either a lender or somebody that wants to partner. There's definitely people out there, but you just have to find them, right? Yeah, so that's kind of what we focus on in the mastermind, is how to find partners, and how to find lenders, all different kinds of lenders, and money for storage investment. Right? So I can't get too much into it because we don't have any more time, but that's what I would do, is put it out there and start letting everybody know, you know, whoever you talk to, I'm looking for a partner for storage investing, all right, to buy a facility. Is anybody out there willing to partner, right? Okay, cool. What else? Any other final questions for the very last day? So there's, you know, a couple of things while everybody is brewing on what we talked about. You know, the 2-day boot camp is this weekend, right? So for all my students, anybody that's in my mastermind, we have all day tomorrow. It's all day, like deal analysis, how to find storage, you know, deal analysis, negotiations, contracts, things like that, to buy facilities and find facilities. We have several different students that are putting in offers right now. So we're going to take those and we're going to run deal analysis on every single one of them. You will get access to my commercial deal analysis spreadsheet, and you will be able to get on there and practice filling that out and running the numbers. So we're doing that all day tomorrow. And then on Sunday is managing the facilities, right? Because we've got some that are, are starting to manage. So they want to know, like, you want to learn like how to run your business so you're completely hands off, right? So we're going to take you from like literally start to finish on how to manage your business. And that is the Sunday. Only students of the mastermind are able to come to the storage facility. To the storage boot camp. So if you're interested, this is your final day to join the mastermind. If you have not gotten information on the mastermind, please just email Stacy@stacyrossetti.com so I can send you some information on the mastermind. And we have a few slots left, so that's that, okay? Other than that, any other final questions, anything else you can come up with on the storage investing? Now that I've stopped to share that screen, so we're out of that. Let me get my video on. What do you think? What other questions, anything else that you guys have on storage investing so I can make sure that y'all move forward? Okay, what city and states are more easy to find store to buy? Okay, so we talked about this. The first couple of days. Your market, right? So you do not want to be, in the major metropolitan areas because it's just too expensive. I mean, unless you have a lot of money. I don't know how much money you have, but essentially, if you have a lot of money, look in the major metropolitan areas. But we just discussed this previously, is like that when you go further out, right, then the prices are cheaper. Now, some people would say it's riskier when you're not in cities, right? So big box companies and people that can afford $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 million, they think it's riskier, right, to go outside of the city. But I've made a couple $100,000 on all my storage facilities just by adding value to them. And I buy pretty much all mismanaged facilities. We're about to buy the 3 storage facilities that are they're run like they're cash flowing right now. So that's our first purchase like that. So you just have to figure out what area is best for you. Where are you from anyways? Tajul. Where are you from? So let me know. And then we can try to figure it out. And if you did not see how you go outside, if you didn't see how I did the virtual, the virtual Google Maps, so you can start looking for storage facilities that way. It's really based on, what kind of cap rate do you want? Do you want like a 5 to 7% cap rate? Well, then go towards the cities. If you want a bigger cap rate, anywhere from like 8 to 10%, then you're going to be kind of outside of the cities. And if you want like a bigger cap rate, then you would just go outside of the cities that way, right? So the further away you are with your cap rates, most of the time, that's kind of how it works. I like to have bigger cap rates is what I like to have, so I have to go out and find, mismanaged storage facilities. That's my philosophy. There's all different ways to do it. It's just kind of which cap rate is good. And then if you look at the market, like if you're saying, okay, I can be here and manage my facilities wherever I want, I would highly look at, areas where it's like they're going to be in the next couple of years, they're going to be okay, right? So you don't want to be in California or New York or New Jersey or the Northeast. You want to be kind of out of those areas. Chicago, you definitely don't want to be in. All of the West is kind of expensive. West is really expensive, but not too, like you could do Oregon or Washington. It's going to be less expensive than California, but they are expensive up there. But the further, like the more inland that you move, the cheaper the properties are. And actually, in the downturn, I think, places like, Charlotte or Greenville, Asheville, anywhere in the Southeast, I think you'll be fine. Texas is a little expensive, and maybe in the outskirts, like in the Big Bend area, or out like in the middle of nowhere kind of Texas, but anywhere towards the cities are going to get a little bit more expensive. So that's kind of how you look at it. It's just like, where do you have any boots on the ground person either? Like that's another thing, because you're going to have somebody that's managing your facilities for you on a regular basis. So do you have like a boots on the ground person or family nearby that can help you to do that? Otherwise, you're gonna have to hire somebody to do that. Let's see what else. How do I build? Yeah, like I said, Masha, just go to the Facebook groups and just start looking there. That's kind of the first, that's my personal opinion, is go to Facebook groups and just post out like, hey, I'm looking for some partners. Now, everybody wants to be a partner, right? But the thing is like, you got to vet your partners. Like, you don't want to be randomly just taking money from some stranger too, you know, like you need to really vet these people, you know, and make sure that they're, you know, legit and stuff. Okay, just FYI. Let's see, how do you build your buyers list? Exactly what I just said. Go to the Facebook groups and post out. I think that's the first step, is to really go to like some Facebook and say, hey, when you get a deal under contract, or when you're looking to build your buyers list, is anybody looking for any properties in Georgia right now? You know, anybody looking for a storage facility in Georgia right now? And then you'll just get like a gazillion people that want that. So then you just say, okay, I'm going to add you to my list just in case I come across something. Okay. Yes. And oh, you're in New York. So, okay, yeah. So that's going to be like super expensive area. You know, just so you know, and it's probably going to be hard to find anything there. So you're going to want to go out, like maybe up north, you know, into like northern New York or Vermont or New Hampshire. We've been looking at storage facilities in the area as well too, and it's quite expensive. It's really expensive actually. So for me, I just, you know, I don't want such a low cap rate. You know, some people want that. I don't want that. Or you could go down like, you know, into like maybe Southern Virginia area, or maybe even to Pennsylvania, like where we're at right now. Or just go like completely, like depending on how much money that you have, you know, go like, I have a friend that lives in Pennsylvania and has storage facilities in Louisiana. And you have to build your business up so you can manage those storage facilities passively. Okay. And I think that's it. Any other final questions? Anything like that? Anybody interested in anything? Okay, good. Good. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with me this week. And I hope at least I got your brain churning. I got you started. How you can at least get started in storage investing. And you know, be on the lookout for some more stuff coming up over the next couple of months. We got some good things coming up. But if you're interested, please make sure you talk to me about the mastermind. I'm here to help as many people as I can. You know, and the only way I can really truly help you is if you know, I can hold your hand and have questions. All right, thank you, Masha. Thank you, everybody. Okay, all right, take care, and I will see you guys on the other side.